What if I told you that the real-time strategy genre, the genre that defined PC gaming for an entire generation, is being brought back, not by a major studio, not by a team of hundreds with a $100 million budget, but by 3 people, 3 developers, working independently, with an idea so ambitious that it makes most big studio RTS projects look timid by comparison. That game is D.O.R.F. If this is your first time here, this channel covers the best upcoming and classic strategy games, ranked, reviewed, and broken down for players who actually care about the genre. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Now, let us get into it. D.O.R.F, Real-Time Strategic Conflict, is an upcoming isometric RTS in active development from an independent team of 3 developers. The moment you see the first screenshot, the inspiration hits you immediately. Command and conquer. Total annihilation. Warcraft 2. The titans of the genre. The games that millions of players grew up with and never stopped loving, even when the industry moved on and left them behind. But here is what makes D.O.R.F different from every other game that has tried to revive this genre. It is not just recreating the past. It is taking everything that made classic RTS games great and building on top of it with ideas that are genuinely new. And once I walk you through what this team is actually attempting, I think you are going to understand exactly why the word ambitious does not even feel like enough. Let us start with base building, because this is where D.O.R.F immediately sets itself apart. In most real-time strategy games, resource management is simple. You send a worker to a mine, the resources come in automatically, and you spend them on whatever you want. It works, but it never really made you think about your base as a system. In D.O.R.F, that changes completely. Resources in D.O.R.F are not just collected, they are transported. Oil extracted from deposits needs to physically move from the refinery to the factory before it becomes useful. Ore mined underground needs to travel through your logistics network before it can fuel your production. Scrap salvaged from the wreckage of previous battles needs to be gathered and routed to where it is needed most. What this means in practice is that your base layout is not just aesthetic, it is strategic. The distance between your extraction points and your production facilities matters. The efficiency of your supply lines matters. A base that looks impressive but has poor logistics will run slower, produce less, and lose faster than a compact, well-organized base built by a player who understands the system. That single design decision transforms base building from a simple mechanic into a genuine puzzle, and it is one of the most exciting ideas I have seen in an RTS in years. Now, let us talk about the battlefield, because D.O.R.F is not a small-scale game. Combat takes place across land, air, and sea, with each faction fielding a roster of units that ranges from conventional military hardware all the way into genuinely bizarre and creative territory. Psychic soldiers, tanks equipped with active camouflage, multi-turreted mechs, and giant wrecking ball spheres built entirely from salvaged scrap metal, designed to roll directly into enemy formations and cause absolute chaos. This is not a game that plays it safe with its unit design, and that unpredictability, the feeling that you never quite know what your opponent might deploy next, is exactly what made classic RTS games so endlessly replayable. The scale of battles also appears to be massive. This is not a skirmish game. The vision here is for enormous engagements, the kind where every unit you trained and every structure you placed suddenly feels like it matters. Now, let us talk about something that will genuinely surprise you, and something that perfectly illustrates just how ambitious this project really is. 3 developers, and they decided to build a custom dynamic lighting engine from scratch. D.O.R.F uses classic isometric sprites, just like the old-school RTS titles. But the team was not satisfied with the flat, pre-baked lighting that every other sprite-based game relies on. So they engineered a solution that nobody else in this genre has attempted at this scale. The system works by layering 3 additional maps over every single sprite in the game. A normal map, which encodes surface orientation using color data, allowing the engine to calculate exactly how light strikes each surface, rather than treating the sprite as a flat image. A depth map, which uses grayscale values to solve the ordering problems that plague traditional 2D games, where units render incorrectly over buildings, or clip through structures in ways that break immersion. And then, the most experimental piece, a micro-depth sprite system that gives 2-dimensional objects the ability to cast real, dynamic shadows. The engine constructs an invisible 3-dimensional mesh for each object using depth data captured from multiple angles. And that mesh is what casts the shadow in real time. The result? Vehicle headlights that actually illuminate the ground around them. Shadows that shift with the position of the sun. Dozens, possibly hundreds, of simultaneous dynamic light sources on a single map, without the performance cost that would cripple a fully 3-dimensional game. 3 developers built that. Let that sink in for a moment. That is what I mean when I call this the most ambitious indie RTS in years. Now let us get into the 3 factions, because this is where D.O.R.F builds the kind of personality that keeps players coming back. The first is the Imperial Union of States, a crumbling industrial empire, powerful but decaying. Heavy armor, long-range artillery, concrete superfortresses, and colossal vehicles that feel genuinely intimidating to face. But the narrative tension is what makes them fascinating. They are the strongest force on the continent, and they are falling apart in real time. Corruption, sabotage, dwindling resources. Playing as the Empire means commanding something magnificent, while watching it slowly collapse around you. The second faction is the Warbands, and these are the faction I suspect most players are going to find irresistible. Nomadic clans, sea pirates, war cults, motorized raiders, all of them scavenging technology from the ruins of the old world and turning it into weapons that have no right to function, as well as they do. Twisted machines, improvised constructions, armies of scrap held together by sheer aggression. Dismissed for generations as primitive, but something is stirring out there in the wastelands. Creatures nobody can classify, machines nobody admits to building. And if a single warlord ever unified them, it would mean the end for everyone else. The third is the Collective, the New World Order. Born from farmers and laborers, now the most technologically advanced military force on the planet. Mobile refineries, walking structures, elite soldiers. Weapons reverse-engineered from old-world technology that rivals cannot replicate. Cold, efficient, expanding fast. Nothing seems capable of stopping them. If the Empire is tradition and the warbands are chaos, the Collective is the future arriving ahead of schedule. 3 completely different playstyles. 3 completely different power fantasies. Enormous replayability before a single expansion is ever released. Here is something worth saying directly, because it matters for understanding why this game has people paying attention. The RTS genre had its golden age. The late 90s and early 2000s were extraordinary. Command and Conquer, StarCraft, Age of Empires, Total Annihilation, Homeworld, Warcraft 3. Year after year of genuinely great games that pushed the genre forward. And then the market moved on. The studios closed, the budgets went elsewhere, and the players who loved that era were left waiting. There have been attempts to bring it back, some of them good, but nothing has fully recaptured that feeling. The feeling of sitting down with a truly great RTS and losing hours to it without noticing. D.O.R.F is aiming directly at that gap. And the fact that it is being built by 3 independent developers, not answering to a publisher, not chasing trends, just building the game they want to exist, makes the ambition feel genuine in a way that is increasingly rare. As for where the game stands, D.O.R.F is in active development with no release date confirmed yet. A Kickstarter campaign may be on the way to support the final stages of production. The team is sharing detailed regular updates, including full technical breakdowns of systems like the lighting engine, which is exactly the kind of transparency that builds trust between developers and players. Wishlist it. Follow the team. And when more news drops, we will cover it right here. 3 developers. One enormous idea. A genre that has been waiting years for someone to take it seriously again. D.O.R.F might be exactly that game. And honestly, the fact that a project this ambitious exists at all is reason enough to be excited about the future of real-time strategy. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and tell me in the comments, which faction would you play first? The crumbling empire, the chaotic warbands, or the unstoppable collective? I will see you in the next one.